All right, quick mask, quick and easy. Hello artists, consider this your crash course. Now I know that I've watched upwards of 24 clipping mask tutorials, like actual clipping mask tutorials that were quick but weren't easy enough. So this is going to be quick and easy. I promise we're not going to be 5 seconds in, 15 layers deep without enough breadcrumbs to get home. Once you've got these quick mask basics down, you'll be able to take those clipping masks training wheels off and dive into those more in-depth tutorials. So watch this and you're going to save a lot of time not having to pause, slow down, go back, only to find out you're missing foundational information about masking. That information is in here. Let's go. Alright, first off, I'm going to assume you have a drawing that you want to use clipping masks on, so we'll start from there. See, here's my little Levi. Now that I've done what I consider the minimum amount of prep work, we're going to get ready for masking. So, line art check, and then a layer for each mask check. You want to build your masks like you build your layers from the bottom up. Skin is going behind the clothes, hair is going to be in front of the skin, and anime types we usually want the eyes sitting above everything else because what are physics? That's how you want to set up your masks. So you'll thank me later for this. This is going to let you be a little bit more messy when you're coloring in, that you don't have to be so particular about coloring in the lines. So we're going to start with the skin. I'm going to pop onto the empty skin layer. There's nothing on it yet. Now you're going to go up to select and quick mask. Nothing happens just yet except for you see this little extra layer pop up, 50% quick mask. That's what you want. Now you're going to grab a pen, a paintbrush, pencil, anything that draws a mark. Pick any color just for fun. So I'm going to grab a paintbrush. I'm going to grab yellow and you're just going to start coloring in where you want the skin to be, right? So you see it's not yellow. That's by design. We want that. That's correct. So when you start coloring in the skin, it's going to be by default this red color, all right? So we're just going to color in everywhere the skin is. You can select how you want to do this, and again, you don't have to be super careful about this because remember, we're going in layers. So the hair is going to be in front of the skin, the clothes are going to be in front of the skin for the most part, so you can be a little bit messy around those areas. What you don't want to do is color over the background because remember, that's not going to be masked. I'm not using shortcuts here with my setup because my keyboard is 3 feet away. Alright, now once you feel happy with that, we've created our mask. You can see over here the red is where the mask is created. Now we're going to go back up to select, unclick quick mask, and you're left with the little marching ants of your selection. So now you're going to take that color that you actually wanted, and now you can see you can actually color the color that you want. I don't want him yellow. We're going to paint him an actual skin tone. My remote is losing batteries. Why did I sound like a robot just then? Losing batteries. Like JP from Grandpa's Boy. Alright, so now we've got our skin layer and it's actually the color of skin that we want, right? Very important, before you deselect, do not deselect yet. If you do, you can just undo and get it back. But before you deselect, we're going to go back up to select, convert to selection layer. So select this, and you'll see we've got a green one this time. It's fairly festive, red to green. And now we have an actual masking layer. This is going to be important for later. We can hide it for now so we don't have to see that sickly green, but we want to leave that there for now. So skin, done. What we're going to do next is do the same thing for our clothes, our hair, and our eyes. It's good to note that you don't have to use hard-edged utensils. You can use whatever you want and create like special masks. Shapes, sizes, opacities, basically whatever special pen you use, you can create a mask in that design. So you see over here, you've got that design. So that way, say you put ambient shadows from leaves over your character and you make them a mask. That way later on you can change the color, you can blur them, you can have psychedelic rainbow effects on them, whatever you want to do later, you'll be able to pick up this selection later. So use whatever pen you want. I'm going to use a tool that I downloaded from Assets. More on that later. Before we deselect, we're going to go back up to select, convert selection layer. Now we've got our other little green guy right here, right? So we're going to turn that off and just continue on. So if you haven't figured it out already, this is the Lasso Fill tool. I downloaded it from the assets. It was free. It's fairly popular, but if you haven't known about it, now you do, and you should go get it. All you have to do is circle the area that you want filled in. Nothing is going to replace the practice of being able to outline your line art quickly, efficiently, accurately, but once you do have those skills, there's no shame in working faster with the tools that you can find. And see, now I can add this because look, I forgot about his undercut. And you know what, just to make things quick, I'm going to include the sign in this quick mask. So now we've got our basic setup. If you notice, I did not color in the sign. Easy to fix here. You're going to go to your selection layer. You're going to right click and select selection from layer, create selection. Now you've got your marching ants back for that particular area, and I can color in the sign that I missed earlier. Now, another way this can become useful is later on down the line when you're done with all of your coloring and you want to start rendering. First, we're going to clean it up a little bit. This is looking a little jumbled right here. I do not like to work in a lot of layers. For the most part, you can get crazy with it. By all means, go for it, whatever works for you, but I like to stay a little bit more organized, and I like my paint being able to interact with the other layers at a certain point. So what we're going to do is organize this a little bit better. I'm going to create a new folder. At the top, we're going to label this our selection layers. And we're just going to throw all of our selection layers in this folder. They don't have to stay in the order that they were in here. They are just for selecting and painting, and then we can hide it away. Look how tidy this is. All right, so now that we've pretty much got everything colored in the way that we want, you can start doing your rendering. So again, this folder selection is going to come in handy. So if we want to start rendering his skin, we're going to go up to our selection layers folder. We're going to select the skin layer. We're going to right click, selection from layer, create selection. And now we're going to create a new layer on top of our skin layer for our rendering, right? And this is going to be our multiply layer. Generally speaking, to be honest, I usually just use one layer for all of my multiply rendering. I don't really break it up into areas like the skin and the clothes, and I just like to shade the entire drawing as it is. But just to show you, you can keep this very organized and isolate what you need to from this selection layers folder that you created earlier. So you can see I just remembered why I use one layer for multiply. I couldn't see it over top of the eye layer and had to adjust that as necessary. So this is one way to do it, right? It's looking a little fuzzy, looking a little not quite right, right? Let's try something else. So that's the first way to do kind of like a cell shading type of rendering on this type of drawing. Another way you can do this, I'll show you with the clothing. So instead of going to our layer selections and selecting the pixels that we want, we can just go to this clothes layer. Now, if I get rid of all of these, you can see exactly which pixels are colored in This is useful because of this little guy up here, the little lock with the checkerboard. Lock transparent pixels. So if I select that, I can now paint only on those pixels. And I won't paint over top of anything else, right? So how is this useful? This is getting a little bit into the nitty-gritty of tutorial making, but it's a quick, easy tip that doesn't take a whole lot of brain cells to follow. So I'm gonna include it. This was a quick mask tutorial, but here's a little quick, not quick mask. So our new multiply layer, we're going to clip it to the layer below it, the one that's locked transparencies, all right? So this one here, you wanna go up to clip to layer below. Tap that, that gives you a little red clippy indication. And now, because this layer is locked to only the active pixels, the transparent pixels are locked, and this layer is clipped to that layer, that goes for these two, for both of them. So now when we paint, it's going to be locked to just those pixels. So we can go a little further with this. We're going to do our lasso and select just the clothes that we want to shade, and you don't have to be neat because they're locked, remember? You only have to be neat where it matters, where it counts. And now we are going to add a little bit of our multiply rendering. We'll make everything visible again so I can see what I'm doing. But now our selections are just where we want them. I'm not being very neat here, but you see the appeal. You see the vision. I hope this was useful for you. Ta-da! I forgot to turn on the speed paint. Mother. Yes, I redrew this just to get the speed paint shot. And for staying around till the end, the first 7 people to comment below can have their very own Levi drawing, or some other character, I don't know. Tell me what you want. Oh, and stay tuned for my upcoming series where I enroll in Mark Brunette's YouTube art school. That's right, he got me a button.